From the desert's news leader, this is breaking news.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
Guilty is the verdict for former President Donald Trump on all 34 counts of falsifying business records in his New York criminal hush money trial. Trump is now the first former president in United States history to be convicted of a felony.
The jury of 12 New Yorkers, 7 men and 5 women, found that he violated the law by falsifying business records to cover up a $130,000 payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election.
The presumptive Republican nominee for president will remain a free man as he awaits sentencing. The judge in this case, Juan Merchan, has set a sentencing hearing for July 11th. That date is ahead of the Republican National Convention, which is set to begin on July 15th.
We are tracking reaction and what this decision could mean for the former president and also the upcoming election. News Channel 3's Peter Dowd live in studio following this historic verdict today. Peter.
That's right, John. Today I had the chance to speak in depth with Assistant Professor of Political Science at UC Riverside, Dr. Nicholas Napolio. Here's what he had to say in regards to today's verdict.
What do you think the big takeaway is from all this?
This is an example of the rule of law being applied to all people in the United States, regardless of positions of power that they've held in the past, right? So the fact that a common jury can convict even the highest political officer in our country is a good sign for the rule of law. Second big takeaway is that because we're so polarized and people are likely to vote for their candidate regardless of kind of what happens during the campaign season, as evidenced by that poll that came out last week, just another indication that polarization is again at a kind of all-time high.
And you can find my full interview with that professor online right now at KESQ.com.
Thank you, Peter. And we go now to Bianca Ventura live in downtown Palm Springs at Village Fest tonight, continuing our live team coverage on this verdict. Speaking now with the Desert Stonewall Democrats who are set up there at Village Fest. Bianca.
Hi, John. Of course, it's the verdict with rippling effects across the nation. Questions are arising as to what's next for former President Trump as he is set to return to the campaign trail as a convicted felon. Right now, I'm in Palm Springs with the chair of the Desert Stonewall Democrats, David Weiner. Thank you for making the time to be here. I know your group is setting up their tent and you're getting ready to interact with a lot of attendees today. But of course, we're following this historic verdict. And what do you think? Do you think that this verdict will overall impact the election?
I think it absolutely will impact the election. I think people will take away from this verdict that everybody, from the very basic American to the president, is responsible for their actions. And there's nobody that is above the law. And that's the way our Constitution was designed by the Founding Fathers. And here we see it worked.
And overall, do you think that this could be a potential call to action for Trump supporters here in the Valley?
I think it could be. I think there's going to be a lot of anger and a lot of hurt feelings. I would say to the Trump supporters, you know what? This is our process. This is our judicial system. It worked as it was supposed to, and now you pick up from there and decide your next course of action.
All right. Well, thank you so much for making the time and speaking with us today. We'll continue to hear from you all throughout the evening. And we have also reached out to the East Valley Women's Patriots group, and we are waiting to hear their reaction. As soon as we hear from them, we'll make sure to share that. Again, this is a historic verdict, as this may be the only case that we hear a sentencing to before the November election. We'll continue to bring you the very latest. I'm live here in Palm Springs. Bianca Ventura, back to you.
Thank you, Bianca. Joining us now, veteran political journalist Hank Plant on set to discuss the verdict and possible ramifications. We're so fortunate to have you here. Thank you.
Great to be with you.
Yeah. Let's talk about this a bit. There was some cheering and some celebrating, but there was also some disbelief, outrage, and people saying this is a setup. Does this solidify Trump's base, kind of what Bianca touched on a bit, and divide us even more?
Oh, I think so. I think that this really does solidify his base and gives them a boost. At the same time, you could say the same thing about Biden supporters who can now say, we told you so. I think the real impact of today is going to be on independent voters and undecided voters. Now, I want to take a local example. Let's look at Palm Desert, okay? In 2016, Trump won Palm Desert by 1.9%. beating Hillary Clinton. In 2020, Biden won Palm Desert, beating Trump by almost 7%. So you have the same city, the same pool of voters swinging pretty dramatically from one way to the other. It shows you that how up for grabs an election can be.
Let's get into the history, Hank, and you can call yourself an historian along with being a veteran
I'm old
journalist
enough,
for
yeah.
all these years. You've interviewed 5 presidents.
Yeah.
So given the opportunity tonight, what would you ask former President Trump? What would you ask current President Biden?
It's interesting. I think that I would ask President Biden, have you been pulled too far to the left? Because Biden has been a moderate his whole life. I mean, he wrote the crime bill, for heaven's sake, which was a pretty conservative piece of legislation when he was in the Senate. But when you look at what he's done on immigration, I mean, that he was pulled by the Bernie Sanders forces to do his immigration policy. President Trump, I would probably ask him something like, you know, you've spent 4 years undermining the election process and now the judicial process. Have you done permanent damage to the country? I like to ask provocative questions because too much agreement can spoil a chat, right?
There you go.
But also on that note, so does the conviction today hurt Republicans who are in office now, running for office, thinking about running for? Does this give, I don't know, Democrats a leg up across the state, locally?
That's a great question, Karen, and I think the answer is yes, it does hurt local Republicans. They don't want to be talking about this. They want to be talking about their own issues in their own districts. They want to be talking about Biden's failures in their eyes, and now they're going to be forced to talk about this.
Former President Ford retired here in the desert. We all had a chance to get to know him through the years.
Yeah.
He ended our national nightmare so many years ago by pardoning Richard Nixon.
Yes.
Of course, they were the same party. Here you have political enemies. Is there any way forward to kind of have a healing moment?
That's up to Mr. Trump. I think that the answer is yes, we can do it, but everybody's in their silos right now. They're in their political tribes, and it's not going to be this is not going to be ending anytime soon. Yeah.
And so where do we go from here? And that is, we have a contentious political season ahead.
I think it's going to be, and I think we're stuck with this for a while until maybe till things get back to the middle a little bit, which is where most voters are.
Hank Platt, thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to see you.
We always appreciate you.
Thanks.
Well, coming up next, a local story you don't want to miss on News Channel 3.
From a street named after him to a doctor in residency, a heartwarming interview with one of the Valley's best and how his dreams are becoming a reality.
It is warm and breezy outside right now, 104 degrees in Palm Springs, with a sustained wind out of the northwest at 14 miles per hour. A whole lot of sunshine, though, and we are keeping those sunny conditions with us through the rest of this afternoon as temperatures will slowly be cooling down. My first alert forecast is coming up. You're watching News Channel 3, the Desert's news leader.
Animals in cages. Continuing coverage of an overcrowding crisis.
We want to save the lives of as many animals as possible.
Euthanasia rates spurring protests while questions around numbers remain.
More focused on hitting a number than saving a life.
I'm asking the hard questions as overcrowding continues in animal shelters and why the answer is not always black and white.
There's certainly more work to do.
Crowd control, a special report tonight at 6 on News Channel 3.
Hannah here with a few friends to answer some questions about ARCO. Like, does ARCO Quality Top Tier Gas improve engine performance, keep your engine clean, and help you with your hula skills?
ARCO, quality top tier gas for less.
If you think lawyers are too expensive, pay attention. Introducing Legal Docs by Me, now available in your neighborhood. We offer a complete living trust package for a fraction of the cost of using an attorney. We provide our services on the telephone safely and in the comfort and privacy of your home. Why bother with lawyers? Call 760-341-4666. 760-341-4666. Low cost, fast, accurate legal documents. 760-341-4666.
Someone's life is about to change right now.
You watched us build the St. Jude Dream Home and then give it away to a local Valley resident.
Lori Pulaski, Rancho Mirage, congratulations. You're the winner of this brand new home.
I bought my one ticket this morning. I'm renting right now. I just just really didn't think I'd ever be able to afford to buy a house in the Valley.
Thank you, GHA Companies, for building beautiful homes for our Valley winners.
Building these homes and donating them for St. Jude for the cause. Why do you keep coming back?
Well, I'll tell you, after 5 years, it's become part of who I am.
We were able to raise nearly $1.6 million to help make sure no family receives a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food when receiving care at St. Jude Children's Hospital.
$1,572,200 to be exact. Congratulations.
From all of us at News Channel 3, thank you to everyone who donated their time and their money to such a worthy cause.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Outdoor Living Concepts. Love where you live.
Well, today, two Palm Springs Unified students were honored for their achievements with a street named after them in Cathedral City.
Lota Yunawune is a current senior and newly awarded Golden Lion at Cathedral City High School.
Michael Bray is Mount San Jacinto High School's choice to receive the honor of Most Outstanding Graduate.
9 years ago, one graduate told News Channel 3 about his hopes of becoming a doctor and helping the community when he was given his street sign.
News Channel 3's Jeff Stahl caught up with Chai Arnold, who is finishing up his first year of medical residency at UCLA.
Because I think collectively we can make this, community really great.
From Cathedral City High School to undergrad at Stanford, medical school at Harvard, and now a residency at UCLA. Back in 2015, Chai Arnold was awarded the Golden Lion Award by Cathedral City High School and given a street named after him. And News Channel 3 was there to capture the celebration.
I think it's just all about overcoming the adversities that you get faced with. Pretty much anybody can achieve this, I think, if you believe in yourself and if you're willing to go the extra mile when things get difficult.
And when I think about when I got the Golden Lion, it was, I think it's an award that is voted on by faculty and administrators, and I think that day really reinforced to me how much people believed in me at Cathedral City High School.
And now Arnold wants to be the one to inspire and believe in the next generation of Coachella Valley graduates.
A lot of us growing up here in the desert have really unique life experiences that I think elite colleges benefit from people like us being there, telling our stories, sharing our perspectives. I try to go back to Cathedral City High School when I have time to speak with students that were in my shoes to kind of show them that there is a way to pursue their dreams, to go to these institutions like Stanford, Harvard, on full ride scholarships if they really put their mind to it. And so I try to be an example for the next generation because I know it's just harder and harder to see that path for people out here in the desert.
Arnold has 2 years left in his residency at UCLA and afterwards says that he'd like to practice medicine close to home.
When I was applying to residency programs, I ended up at UCLA, but I interviewed with the Eisenhower Hospital as well and really had great relationships with some of the faculty there. It's exciting to think that maybe one day I could be a part of teaching the next generation of doctors as well, and I think the best way to do that would be here in the desert at one of our local hospitals. I think the desert really needs more doctors to kind of step up, especially people that are from here that know the area, know the population, speak Spanish. I think it's a great place to kind of live long term, and I do hope to come back after I finish my training.
Jeff Stahl, News Channel 3.
And a sweet personal note, Arnold recently married his high school sweetheart who he met while attending Cathedral City High School, and she was at Palm Springs High School.
Congratulations to them. Being safe while having fun.
Coming up on News Channel 3, a warning for all families before summer fun in the great outdoors and how first responders work to keep the community safe. You're watching The Desert's News Leader.
Where's my husband?
He's on a ventilator.
They're saying you may already be lost.
The 911 season finale tonight on ABC.
At Saboba Casino Resort, we want to make one thing perfectly clear. Things have changed a lot around here.
Have you been thinking about replacing your old windows but worried it's out of your budget? Well, you're not alone. At West Coast Windows and Home Improvement, we've helped thousands of customers transform their homes with state-of-the-art, beautiful, dual-pane, energy-efficient windows. Whether you have no credit or excellent credit, we have programs and financing options for everyone. Call West Coast Windows and Home Improvement now for a free in-home consultation at 844-76-WINDOWS. That's 844-76-WINDOWS.
You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader. This is News Channel 3 live at 5 with John White, Karen Devine, and Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen.
Count on us for in-depth and accurate coverage of the big stories.
We investigate all sides of the story so you can stay informed.
We uncover the whole truth and deliver exclusive reports you won't see anywhere else.
News Channel 3, the desert's investigative leader.
As we continue to grow, we're incredibly grateful to be your #1 choice when it comes to air conditioning and heating here in the Coachella Valley. We take pride in everything we do, and we have the best prices in the Coachella Valley. I personally guarantee it. Values, hard work, and dedication are what we're known for. We're proud to be Coachella Valley's #1 choice for all of your air conditioning and heating needs. Make the easy choice, the #1 choice, Comfort Air.
Where's my husband?
He's on a ventilator.
They're saying you may already be lost.
The 911 season finale tonight on ABC.
First Alert Weather brought to you by Comfort Air. They're #1 for a reason.
We continue tonight to track reaction to the guilty verdict in former President Trump's criminal hush money trial. Jennifer Franco on the Breaking News Center with up-to-the-minute details on this. Jen.
Yeah, and John, we've been reaching out to several local Democrats and Republicans, and just moments ago we received this statement from Congressman Ken Calvert. It reads, quote, "Americans who believe that justice should be blind to politics and administered equally should be concerned with today's outcome. It's alarming that our criminal justice system continues to be taken advantage of by partisan prosecutors who want to use the power of their office to influence our democratic elections." End quote. Now, earlier today, Democratic Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz's office shared a very brief reaction with us, with Ruiz stating that the verdict speaks for itself. Now, we will, of course, continue to monitor reaction from both sides of the aisle. John, Karen?
All right, thanks, Jen. With temperatures heating up, it's important for residents and visitors to know how to stay safe while hiking. News Channel 3 Jennifer Frankel filed this report and went alongside the Palm Springs Fire Department for an inside look at what that entails before breaking news.
We came to the Museum Trail here in Palm Springs to learn more about hiker safety and what it takes from first responders in the event of a rescue. Hiking essentials are crucial before hitting the trail.
We'll sling this on our back, and inside here, we've got water bottles.
If going up for a while, a gallon of water is recommended. Other important items, hiking shoes, a hat, sunglasses, and...
Before we got here, sunscreen.
The sunny weather draws visitors to the desert this time of year.
And it shoots the heat off, so you can feel there's a temperature difference from the rock from here. So just wait till it gets 100 plus.
It could spell trouble for unprepared or inexperienced hikers.
They come here to visit. At the end of the day, so far we've had 18 rescues this year.
Since their last message a week ago, they've had 0 rescues. Teaming up with partners in the community is key to spreading the word. Visit Greater Palm Springs recently shared a blog post on safety tips.
And then what happens is they get off trail, and what's off of the trails out here right now because it's summertime? Rattlesnakes.
When rescues do happen, they require a lot of resources from multiple agencies.
Sometimes, actually majority of the time, we actually have to call out a helicopter.
Those costs are covered by taxpayer dollars. Having to carry a patient down also puts first responders in a bad predicament. Captain Skyberg says anyone hiking in desert terrain should hydrate before, during, and after a hike. Also, have a partner and get up early to beat the heat. For Max Becerra, it's his first time back out on the trail in a few years.
I like the challenge. This one's much more challenging than Lichen Trail, as you can see.
He's on a solo journey starting around 9 in the morning.
Once the peak of summer hits, I'm going to try to get here earlier.
We bumped into a couple hikers from Chicago and D.C. who didn't make it all the way because of the heat.
Good for you. Know your limits.
And a final message for outdoor enthusiasts heading to the Coachella Valley.
Have fun, be safe, and don't hesitate to call for help if needed.
We want people to come here, right? Like, it's beautiful.
In Palm Springs, Jennifer Franco, News Channel 3.
Hydrate before we get to work.
And you can stay up to date on stories like this one free and on demand. Simply search KESQ and download our app on Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.
We've previously shown you just how crowded animal shelters around the Coachella Valley are these days, with large dogs having an especially difficult time finding new homes. As the county deals with the crisis, animal advocates have been protesting, calling for more accountability from Riverside County's Department of Animal Services. The protesters have been gathering at government meetings and protesting outside the shelter. It's all because of a report from Best Friends Animal Society last year that revealed Riverside County has the highest kill rate for animals in the country. The county now responding with what you can do to help alleviate the overcrowding.
Volunteering helps, promoting individual dogs helps, networking dogs helps. The shelter cannot be the be-all, end-all, fix-all of all of these problems. It will need strong community partners.
See News Channel 3's Angela Chen's in-depth report on shelter overcrowding and the moves the county is now making to try to solve the issue. Crowd Control airs tonight at 6 right here on News Channel 3.
A new surgery suite opened up at the Coachella Valley Animal Campus in Thousand Palms just yesterday. The Animal Campus opened in 2006 without a surgical suite because of a partnership with Animal Samaritans, the region's leader in spay and neuter surgeries. Now the shelter says that the suite will complement the work of Animal Samaritans veterinarians. The first 2 patients were cats that got spayed and neutered and are available for adoption.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen.
Plenty of sunshine out there today, and clear conditions are going to be with us through the rest of tonight. Humidity, really not much of an issue. We have watched those dew point temperatures climb a little bit more. Palm Springs right now at 51 degrees, but overall we're not looking at a lot of moisture within our region, so we're going to be maintaining a dry forecast. Skies stay clear as we head through the rest of this Thursday night, so if you are going to be heading out to Village Fest, you are looking at a warm and breezy evening. Again, skies are clear and those temperatures really only looking to cool on down to about the mid-90s around 8 p.m. So it is going to be a warm evening. We've already experienced a warmer afternoon than what we felt yesterday. And well, this evening it's going to be warmer than yesterday as well. We didn't have a crazy warm up, but today we are experiencing our temperatures around 5 degrees above average, specifically for Palm Springs, 6 degrees above average. And tomorrow is going to be more of the same. So we are not dealing with any type of excessive heat or record temperatures, but we are staying consistently warm, really feeling that springtime heat with those highs above average. Now on Saturday, a trough of low pressure will begin to develop over the western United States. It's going to try to cool things down. It's not really going to do a whole much. Our temperatures are still going to be in the triple digits, but by Saturday evening, we are looking at gustier winds joining us. I'm looking at those gusts closer to 30 miles per hour for our Saturday evening. Now, it being Thursday, the latest drought monitor has been released, same as last week, but I mean, so fantastic to look at. Just over 1% of the state is abnormally dry, and that does include San Bernardino and Riverside County there. Otherwise, we are in a fantastic position as we are getting ready to head into June, which of course is leading the way into hotter and drier months here in the desert. Our First Alert Comfort Air 7-day forecast showing that very subtle cool down this weekend, but by the middle to end of next week, we are looking at some of the warmest temperatures so far this year. The news continues after the break. You're watching News Channel 3, the desert's news leader.
For those who want a luxury driving experience in a compact SUV, meet the Lincoln Corsair. This is where sporty fun meets luxury. And at Palm Springs Lincoln, it's also where affordability meets luxury. Come in during our Memorial Day sales event and drive yours home today for just $359 a month. That's right, special factory incentives take Palm Springs Lincoln prices and make them even more affordable. $359 a month for this sporty version of luxury is waiting for you at Palm Springs Lincoln.
Desert Air has been local and family-owned since 1954, and that means 7 decades of unparalleled service and HVAC experience. So how do we do it? We take care of customers. We pride ourselves on quality work. and we treat everyone like family. Take advantage of a special offer from Carrier. Turn to the experts with rebates of up to $1,600 or 60-month special financing on a qualifying Carrier home comfort system. Contact our family at Desert Air. Live comfortably.
Hey, hockey fans, the Western Conference Finals are here. The Coachella Valley Firebirds will host the Milwaukee Admirals for Game 2 of Round 4 playoffs. Catch the action live Friday, 6:30 p.m. on Fox 11. The Coachella Valley Firebirds broadcast live on our station. This week's Firebirds Western Conference Finals game on Fox 11, sponsored in part by Volvo Cars Palm Springs, Infinity Palm Springs, and Jessup Cadillac Chevrolet Buick and GMC.
Today's older adults aren't wrapping up their life's journey. They're seeking a new one. And Bella Villaggio is here to help them do just that. We bring well-being and living well to life through hospitality-based care and signature programming, which includes a personal concierge, a holistic wellness program, and premier dining, just to name a few. We do wellness really well, and here you will too. Welcome to Bella Villaggio, where happiness never grows old.
Exciting news from Cibon Restaurant. We are thrilled to announce our acquisition of the Pastry Swan Bakery. With Chef Pascal leading the way, we now create all our desserts, breads, and cake. We also offer weekly cooking classes, in-home afternoon tea service, and artisanal boxes lunches for outing. Let Chef Pascal and our team cater your next event. Experience culinary excellence at Cibon Restaurant and Pastry Swan Bakery, where every moment celebrates flavor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Legal Docs by Me of Palm Desert. No lawyers, save money.
The Palm Springs Public Library has launched a new mobile app, the first of its kind in the Valley. The free app is available for both Apple and Android devices and makes it easier than ever for people to use the library. People can see if the library has a specific book, reserve that book, and check it out all through the app.
If you're out and about and you see a book or a movie or something that you like, you can scan the barcode on the back of the item and it will tell you if our library owns the item. And then you don't have to buy it. We buy it for you, so you don't have to.
For more on the new library app and how it works, head to our website, KESQ.com.
Greater Palm Springs Restaurant Week begins tomorrow. Over 90 restaurants in all 9 Valley cities are participating in the 10-day culinary event. While guests can enjoy great meals during Restaurant Week, they also have the opportunity to give back. The president and CEO of Fine Food Bank says this event brings healthy meals to people experiencing food insecurity in the Coachella Valley.
For every dollar that is donated through the Dine GPS website, Fine Food Bank can take that dollar and provide approximately 4 very healthy meals out into the community for people who are wondering where their next meal is coming from.
For more information about the Greater Palm Springs Restaurant Week and the good work that Fine Food Bank is doing, go to our website, KESQ.com.
And a final look at our first alert forecast. A warm one out there today, Haley.
It certainly was. We had a high temperature of 105 degrees in Palm Springs, and tomorrow is looking to be like more of the same. Now, temperatures are going to try to cool down a little bit as we head into the weekend. Not by much. We're still talking about plenty of heat as we welcome in June. However, by the middle to the end of next week, that's when our temperatures will begin to warm right back up. A slow warming trend thanks to another ridge of high pressure, but bringing us into a territory that we have yet to experience in 2024.
You mean hot?
Yeah, it has to happen. We
Yeah.
know it's on the way.
Thanks, Haley. Thank you for making News Channel 3 your choice for news. Stay tuned for your network news.
We'll see you right back here in a half hour at 6 and whenever news breaks on the air and online at KESQ.com. Have a great night.
News Channel 3 is now available on any of these streaming services. Watch live and on demand